Okay, we begin with exercise 1D, question 1D, okay, highlighted on the screen. So we are supposed to sketch the graph, okay, of the following function. Now remember, what are the things, okay, that we need to take note of when we are drawing a quadratic curve? Number one, okay, we must ask ourselves, is it a U or N-shaped curve? Okay, now number two, we need to recall what are the critical points. So number two, I need my X, my Y intercept, as well as my turning point. Okay, my turning point. So these are the things that you need to remember. So let's take a look at the equation. Now, we need to ask ourselves, if I expand this equation, the highest power x squared, is it going to be a positive or negative x squared? Okay, so you notice that over here, it's x times x, but remember, after I expand, all the terms inside have to change sign because of this negative outside. Okay, so therefore, it is actually a negative x squared N-shaped curve. Now, for those of you who are not sure why Miss Jana says negative x squared, I quickly demo here. Now, negative bracket x minus 1, x plus 6. What do you do first? You need to expand this part first. Okay, now I'm going to leave the negative outside. So, fast forward, you will be getting x squared plus 5x minus 6 after you simplify everything. Then you notice that when you expand, okay, you have to bring in the negative, multiply the negative into all the three terms, and which is why your x squared is going to be negative x squared. Okay, so coming back to the shape of the curve, it is going to be N-shaped curve. Next, I want you to calculate the critical points. Let's begin with the x-intercept. Okay, so x-intercept, y equals 0. Okay, now can we find the x-intercept now? I'm going to pause. Let's pause the video, try to find on your own. Okay, so let's check now. I hope you have done and calculated what is the x-intercept. Now let's take a look. I am using the equation given. Y is sub in equals to 0. Now you notice that on the right hand side you have negative 1 here. You have x minus 1 and you have x plus 6. Now what does that mean? This negative sign is actually negative 1. So imagine this, you have negative 1 times another box of x minus 1 times another box of x plus 6. Okay, and it's equal to 0. So you notice that I am going to cover, I want you to ignore, okay, I want you to ignore x plus 6 for a moment and just take a look at these two boxes. The first box is negative 1 times x minus 1 equals 0. Already you know the first box is negative 1. Negative 1 times what equals to 0? The second box must be 0. Which means that since the first box is a constant, and when I multiply the three boxes and it's equal to 0, therefore either this or this must be 0. Okay, so I will write x minus 1 equals 0 or x plus 6 equals 0. Okay, so in short, the next time when you see this question here, this one, okay, just remember the negative sign in front doesn't affect you solving for x, because since it's a constant, the first one is negative 1 times the other two box equals 0. Therefore, the second or third one must be 0. Okay, now next, let's solve for x. So you have x is equals to 1 or x equals to negative 6. Okay, on your right hand side of your foolscap paper, I want you to sketch your quadratic curve. since we have already gotten the x-intercept, let's plot the x-intercept first. Negative 6, okay, 1, positive 1 here. Okay, so that's my x-axis. Let's move on to the y-intercept. Y-intercept, x equals 0. Okay, can you pause the video, try on your own if you have not done so? Okay, so after you submit x equals 0, okay, so what we have here will be negative times negative 1 times 6. Okay, can key into your calculator. Y is equals to positive 6. Okay, which means that on my y-axis, the y-intercept is positive 6. Okay, remember it's n-shaped curve. Okay, so I can see the n here already. Okay, it's n-shaped curve like that. I'm going to do a sketch now. There you go. Okay, and remember the turning point is always in the middle. It's at the top this time around. This is the maximum point. Okay, so one thing I want to highlight is that when it's a U-shaped curve, the turning point is minimum. Okay, minimum point. When it is an N-shaped curve, it's going to be the maximum point. Now your mission is to find out what is the x value and the y value here. Okay, so we have the coordinate of the turning point. Can we try that now? Okay, so the next part here, I want you to find the turning point. Pause the video if you have not attempted so. Okay, so for finding turning point, you find the average of the two x-intercept, okay, by adding the two x values and then divide by 2. So you have x equals negative 2.5. Then sub in that value, okay, to get the value of y. So therefore, okay, like I mentioned in class, these 3 dots represent therefore in maths. Okay, so therefore turning point, okay, will be negative 2.5 and 12.25. Okay, let's label that point in your graph. So you have this point here. Okay, this is your negative 2.25, sorry, negative 2.5 and 12.25. Done. Okay.